It's time again for the Science Bowl.
Zoo parade for 5. What big teeth the hippo has are actually a pair of these. Science potpourri for 10. Would a snake most likely eat every day? Every week, Dateline Science for 10. Why are some elephants wearing necklaces these days? Green things for 15.
And now, here's your host, Mr. Z himself, Dave Zarin.
Thank you and welcome to the Science Bowl. Yes, this is the penultimate game. Just one more after this to determine who will be the champion in this year's elementary school competition. Nice to have you here today. Here we are at the end, nearly at the end of our 35th season of Science Bowl here in Prince George's County Public Schools. And we invite you to play along and test your own science IQ with the two teams here today. We have Hyattsville and Longfields competing for the chance to be the last of the two finalists, joining Whitehall Elementary School, playing for that county championship in just a few weeks' time. All right, it's nice to have you here today. If it's your first time, normally we have students here in the studio. Pandemic means they're all at home. We give them 50 points just for showing up and being as courageous as they are and looking as good as they do. We have no buzzers here. Each team will get 18 questions, different questions of comparable difficulty, and the team that is ahead at the end of this game will come back to play Whitehall. And if you're new to the game, we have 6 categories of questions that we use. These are they.
Okay, Mr. Z, here's today's categories. Green things, questions about plants and all things green and growing. Zoo parade, a Noah's Ark of questions about animals. Body systems, we'll see how much you know about yourself, about things like breathing and growing and digesting your food. Let's get physical. Questions that test your knowledge of physics and chemistry, earth science and space science. Then there's science potpourri. Here's a grab bag of science questions, everything from air pollution to the kitchen sink. And finally, Dateline Science. We'll ask you about science history and science in the news.
It is now time to meet the teams. First of all, we're going to meet the team from Hyattsville Elementary School. We'll check in with the team from Longfields in just a few moments, but Hyattsville, let's wave to their cap. Hey, Arlo, wave to everybody at home if you would. Great young man here playing the game. And Samuel, he's tired. He's been playing all day today. He's a great guy. He's ready to give it his all. And Ellie is here too. Ellie, give a nice wave and a thumbs up to everybody at home. All right, guys, it's now time to play the game. And we're going to go to the green things category. We have a 5, a 15, and a 25-point question in green things. And I'll ask the question, then I'll give you a second to think about it before you give me your answer. All right. Teams green things for 5 points. The arborists working at the National Arboretum take special care of what kinds of green things?
Trees. I think it's trees.
Yeah, I think it's trees too.
Sorry,
you froze at the end.
That means you get yourself 5 points. Good way to start the game. Let's do the 15-point question. While salt and pepper are condiments, salt is really a mineral. We eat a rock. Whereas pepper is one of these S initial kinds of ingredients to give food a bit more flavor.
Seasoning.
Spice.
Seasoning. Wait.
Seasoning.
Seasoning or spice?
Yeah.
Points. Perfect. Let's go to the 25-point question. To combat malnutrition around the world, scientists are working to get crops like corn and wheat to absorb more nutrients from the soil, especially Fe and Zn. Fe, capital F small e, capital Z small n, are what two chemical elements that are also nutrients?
Fe and Zn. Fe's like bromine or something. It's not what it sounds like.
Well, if you had familiarized yourself maybe a bit more with the periodic table, Fe is iron and Zn is zinc. Iron and zinc. Let's go to the zoo.
I knew zinc.
All right.
I forgot about it.
Let's get this next one here, guys.
Yeah.
Zoo for 5 points. Some animals are definitely stereotyped. Eels are always slippery. Slippery as an eel. Bats are always blind. Blind as a bat. While some of these red mammals may be kind, they're usually thought of as sly and cunning.
Fox.
I think fox.
Good. For 15 points, we have a picture for you in Zoo Parade. Let's have a look. Worried that they can't see lions and other nocturnal predators, zebras, like you see here, and antelopes are very reluctant to come out on the African plains at night when the moon is in what phase?
The no moon phase, like the phase when it's lowest.
Um,
Oh,
What's it called? The
eclipses? Lunar
no,
eclipse?
the eclipse is a completely different thing.
A full moon is exactly what the zebras don't want, because all that light from the full moon would illuminate the plain. You could see every predator, which is exactly, what they want. What they don't want is a new moon. A new moon is when it's completely dark. And that's where the lions have the advantage. Okay, let's go to the 25-point question in Zoo Parade. In space, there are black holes, and possibly these kinds of holes that could permit entry into another universe. They carry what same name as those slimy, segmented invertebrates that dig in the soil?
Wormholes.
Perfect. Wormholes gets you 25 points. Let's do the body system questions. 3 more before we take our first break. That was a good answer. For 5 points, this hardest substance produced by our bodies, found on our teeth, can actually glow in the dark if you use too much whitener.
Calcium?
Yeah, calcium. I was gonna say keratin for a second, but then I was like, oh yeah,
Wow.
calcium in my teeth.
We're talking about the enamel on your teeth. The enamel is the outer covering that, gets whiter if you use some of those bleaching products. All right, let's try the 15-point question. The ingredients to make one human being include 61% oxygen, 23% carbon, 10% hydrogen, and 2.6% of this element that makes up 4/5 of the air that we breathe.
Hydrogen.
nitrogen.
Hydrogen, helium, oxygen, hydrogen.
Yeah, Ellie gave us the correct answer there. It is, in fact, nitrogen. All right. Now let's do your last body system question worth 25 points. Here's the name of an Italian, Bartolomeo Eustachio. Bartolomeo Eustachio's name is on the tiny tube, the Eustachian tube that connects your pharynx, your throat, with what sense organ?
Smell?
Tongue. Your tongue.
Oh yeah, taste.
Your sense organ being your tongue.
Is connected to your ear. Your ear, that tiny tube. That's why when you're in an airplane, you're supposed to yawn a lot to force air into that tube to help to break that stuffiness up in your ear. That's why you can get an earache that can travel down into your throat. All right, so we end the first half with 115 points. That 25-pointer you got with wormholes really helped you guys. All right, keep up your good work. We'll talk to you in a few moments and come back and give you your next 9 questions. It is now time to meet that team from Longfields Elementary School here playing against Hyattsville for the chance to move on and become part of the championship game in just a few weeks' time. Let's say hello to that team from Longfields. And James, can you wave to everybody? Hey, James, good to have you here. And how about Jared? Jared's here. with his great smile. And we welcome Kyrie to the program. Hey, Kyrie, wave to everybody out there. All right, we have 18 questions for you. The first 9 are about to come your way. And remember, talk to each other. We have a 5, a 15, and a 25-point question in green things, zoo parade, and then in body systems. So if you're ready here, let's begin. Here are your green things questions, the one for 5 points. All right, here it is, Longfields. If the Irish legend is correct, plants must be invisible to leprechauns and thus not subject to being pinched because they, the plants, are always wearing what color?
Green.
Green.
You're absolutely right. It ain't easy being green unless you're a plant. Good answer. For 15 points, we have a picture for you. Longfields, have a look. Like most all plants, the saguaro cactus of Arizona that you're looking at right here produces its own food. But with no leaves, where does photosynthesis, that food-making process, take place?
That's going to be a tricky one. Guys, what do y'all think? Like, because I'm rooting, like, for me, I'm thinking of
I think
the
it may be the
actual,
thorns.
not the stem or the needles, the actual plant.
The parts that prickle you.
Yeah.
The actual plant, because that's the only part that actually hits that's the only part that actually hits the sun on the plant. So it has to be the
So
actual plant.
the needles or the thorns on the cactus, that's a reasonable guess because they substitute for the leaves. But the problem is they're not green. And it's got to be green for photosynthesis to take place. So the only part of the plant that's green is the trunk, the stem of the plant. So that's where the food making takes place. Let's get this last one, green things, for 25 points. The most widely eaten of the world's grains is familiar to breakfast cereal eaters. Do you guys eat breakfast for cereal?
Yes.
Yes, cereal for breakfast, rather. Breakfast cereal eaters in America, the most familiar grain is one that when you add milk, it makes sounds like snap, crackle, and pop.
I was thinking wheat at first.
It has to snap, crackle, and pop.
Is it like, you know how we went over this with the Rice Krispie treat question?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do
Remember how it says snap, crackle, and pop?
And Kyrie got it right. Rice Krispies, snap, crackle, and pop. Rice is that grain. Nice work. You got yourself 25 points. Let's go to the zoo. While the Pied Piper famously let all the rats out of the town of Hamelin, St. Patrick is credited with driving all of these reptiles out of Ireland.
Snakes.
it is snakes.
Snakes. Yeah.
You're absolutely correct. There are no snakes in Ireland. It's mostly because it's so cold there and rainy, but St. Patrick makes for a good legend. Nice work, guys. Let's go to 15 points in Zoo Parade. Charles Darwin famously studied birds called finches on the Galapagos Islands to determine his theory of evolution. But back home in England, Darwin raised these P, as in Paul, Darwin raised these P-initialed birds whose toes point inward and have a keen sense of finding their way home.
Parakeet.
I was gonna say parakeet because that's really
would not
the
be a
only
parakeet.
initial bird that I really
Finding their
know
way
about.
home.
Yeah. Parrots.
No.
It
So-
would not.
Wait, what about pigeons?
Pigeons, maybe.
Pigeons?
Do they
It
really
could
have
be.
them?
No, like feet would be normally like this, and pigeons are like this. And
Yeah.
it's facing inward.
I like what you guys are doing there, and I'm going to have to go to the captain. Captain, I want you to offer your final answer there. James, what bird is it?
I'm going to go with pigeon. Pigeon.
Pigeons is the correct answer. Pigeon-toed is when your toes are in like this. So you got it. You got it. All right, 25 points. Here's a big word for you, stridulation. I don't expect you to know what it means. Stridulation is the scientific term for the chirping sounds made by male crickets. Boy, are they annoying. You're trying to go to sleep at night and you can't find that male cricket. He's chirping somewhere in your house. For the crickets, though, the noise is meant to help the guys do what? Two things. If you're a male cricket and you're chirping, what two things will that sound do?
Find other crickets.
Find help, like it's basically like helping you. Hey guys, I'm over here. Hey guys, I'm over here. It's kind of like an alarm, like, or
Yeah,
kind of
so
like
it
a
might be
little-
able to
Find other crickets.
locate
and then
other
know
crickets.
how to
find
make-
other crickets,
or
and
me.
then like I
Yeah, it
remember.
might locate other
I know it's coming
crickets.
from the crickets. Like I would hear crickets in the morning when I would go to school, and then I would walk
Yeah,
closer
I
to
normally
the
hear
sound.
crickets at night, but so it might be able to. They might be trying to mate
Either
female
like
crickets
it's
or
either
so.
mating. It's either mating or finding other crickets.
It's both. Like,
Mating
didn't he say
and-
two?
It's got to be both. It's got to be both. I'm locking
All
in with
right.
that.
Okay, guys, I love how you play the game. I like these ideas you're throwing around. And you got the first part right. That is a mating call. They're looking for the females. But the sound is also to warn off other guys to stay away. Get out of my territory. Get out of my territory. Ward off competitors.
That makes sense.
It does make sense. But like I say, you guys, you came up with great ideas. All right, 3 more questions in the first round. Body system for 5 points. Do you remember Snow White and her 7 dwarfs?
Yes.
Yeah. Among Snow White's 7 dwarfs was one known for his sternutation, the scientific term for what happens to cartoon characters and to real people when pepper is blown in their face.
Sneezy.
Yeah.
Yeah, sneezy.
And sneezy is the right answer. Sneeze is the right answer. 15 points. Football players suffer an awful lot of injuries, including spraining their wrists, dislocating their shoulders, and suffering from a collapsed one of these.
He said one of these organs.
Collapsed.
Oh.
Collapsed.
Collapsed
wrists?
kidney.
It would sound like ribs because ribs, when
Ankle?
ribs collapse, they collapse inward. You know, like ribs are going in. They're kind of like a
Yeah.
wall. When walls collapse, they fall inward. Same thing with ribs. Like
Or-
basically, if the ribs collapse, they fall inward, kind of like this. I'm thinking with ribs.
Yeah, I'm also.
Also, football
linked
players
ribs.
take a lot of trucks into this area, so I'm thinking it would be ribs. I'm going to go with ribs.
Yeah.
Okay, ribs. Boy, you were literally around it, because what's inside the ribs? The lungs. The lungs can collapse, and oftentimes that's what happens if a football player gets hit really hard, a collapsed lung. Good try, guys. Get this last one for 25 points. Strange as it may seem, when you see something, like as your eye is looking at me right now, I am actually upside down. But your eyes, this part of your eye flips that image as it goes back to your retina, and your brain sees me as right side up. What part of your eye does the image go through and flip before it gets to the retina?
Okay.
The pupil?
Wait.
No, the pupil is the actual eye.
It would be the kind of, how would I put this? A filter that flips it around. That's what I see in movies. Like when I look directly at the projector, it looks upside down directly at the projector. But then if I look at the widescreen, it looks like it looks right side up.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely gonna I'm thinking iris.
Boy, iris
Yeah.
is a great guess. In fact, the iris is right in front. What is it that you put on a camera on the front?
A lens.
That was the answer. The lens is actually the part that flips it. Still, you had a nice first round there, guys. Very competitive. You have 105 points. He's got one more chance to get some points. I'll be back with you guys in just a few moments. Keep up your good work. All right, it is now time to talk to that team from Hyattsville. Boy, this is their 4th appearance here this year. They have done so well. They are this close to a championship bid. Let's find out about these young people here. Let's start with the captain here, Arlo. And Arlo, you know an awful lot about science. And how do you know so much science? What is your secret?
Well, I try to remember just everything that I learn. So I feel like that's a big thing. Also, I feel like I'm good at reading things and just like remembering the parts that are important and the rest just like me forgetting, so I have room for more science kind of. And also I feel like I'm pretty good at just putting together different things.
Well, you explained that very well, and it explains why you're such a good player. It explains why they chose you to be the captain of this team, and you're playing really well. Keep it up in the second half. Let's meet your teammates here. You got 2 able assistants here. Let's go to Ellie. And Ellie, nice to have you here. And tell us a little bit about yourself and what you like to do in your spare time.
I really like animals and hanging out with them. I've been bugging my parents to get us a dog. And in my spare time, I usually either read or hang out outside. And there is also this farm that I go to sometimes, kind of once a month. And I like to hang out with the animals, and there's horses there, and it's cool.
Thanks for sharing that, Ellie. And I know I have nothing to do with it, but I sure hope you get that dog. You know, a dog is a wonderful thing, and certainly during the pandemic, it's a nice companion to have. So I'm rooting for the dog, and I hope you get it, Ellie. You're a good player. Nice to have you here. Let's talk to your last teammate here in Samuel. Samuel, speaking about pets, Ellie's waiting for a dog, but you've got 2 new little kittens there. Are those the only 2 animals in your menagerie at home?
My parents sort of take care of another cat named Noodle. And Noodle's like a big, fat, black cat, the panther cat, that spends a lot of time outside. And you're muted. We're kind of afraid that Noodle won't like the kittens because 2 kittens on his terrain has been his.
And that's a very real concern because Noodles has had the run of the place, and now you've got 2 new interlopers here, 2 new members, and yeah, there's got to be a little friction, but something tells me it's going to work out, and they're lucky to have you as a part-time custodian there, you and your parents both. Thanks, Samuel. Great player. Good to have you here. All right, it is now time, Hyattsville, for the second 9 questions. Let's go to Let's Get Physical. The first one is worth 5 points. Here 'tis. Our moon has 5 times more of this M-initialed measurement than the former planet Pluto.
Mass.
Mass is the correct answer. Indeed. 5 more points. 15 points. Let's get physical. Superman's weakness is a fictitious green mineral that has almost the same name as the chemical element on the periodic table with the symbol Kr.
It's krypton.
Kryptonite.
You got it. Krypton and kryptonite, those are the 2. Perfect. Let's go for all 3 and let's get physical. By heating together copper and a bit of tin to 1100 degrees Celsius over charcoal, ancient men produced this shiny metal, often given out at the Olympics.
Bronze.
Bronze is correct, that bronze medal. Let's go to potpourri. You're doing great. For 5 points. This most destructive form of precipitation is, depending on how big it is, often described as golf ball, baseball, or even grapefruit sized.
Hail.
Thank you, Ellie. Thank you, Ellie. It is hail. Perfect. Potpourri for 15 points. A runner's high, that good feeling after strenuous exercise, is produced by brain chemicals known as endorphins, which act like what O initial drugs that relieve pain but can become addictive.
I don't know.
They are much in the news. Opioids, opioid addiction. Let's try the potpourri question for 25. It is thought that animal fat falling onto the ashes of a dampened fire led to the discovery of this cleansing agent that comes in bars and liquid form.
Soap.
It is soap. Yes, 25 points. You're doing great. Last three questions. Dateline for 5 points. Both the chemical elements radium and polonium, discovered by the Curies, are these potentially dangerous kinds of elements that can be detected with Geiger counters.
Radioactive?
Radioactive elements they are. Thank you, Arlo. I have a picture for you for 15 points. Guys, you're going like gangbusters here. For 15 points. Recently, weather conditions over the Chesapeake Bay created a mirage that made it look like one of these huge walls of water was heading toward Annapolis.
Tsunami.
It is a tsunami. Last question of the game, 25 points is a quote. People don't know what they need until you show them it. People don't know what they need until you show it to them, said this computer wizard who founded Apple and died from pancreatic cancer a few years ago.
I know that a few people who found famous things. There's Jeff Bezos,
who founded Tesla. Not Bozo.
Sorry.
Bozo.
There's it's really all I can think of.
And then the Amazon founder.
Yeah. Oh.
This may be before your time. His name was Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs founded Apple. He founded Apple. Still, great game for you. Got almost all of them right in the second half. You now have 210 points. That is great. Let's see if that's enough to win the game. Congratulations, Hyattsville. We'll see you again in a couple minutes. It is now time to meet that team from Longfields, and they've been here 4 times. It's their 4th appearance because they keep winning, and they're just a great team, and let's find out about each one of them. Let's go first to the captain of the team, and that is James. And James, tell me, we know you want to be an astronaut. We know you really prepare well for this game. Tell me what it is you like about the Science Bowl game, James.
I love the question. Like, I love breaking things down for other people to go off of that. Like, I break stuff down. Like, that's my brain just feels like, okay. So then to that, I sometimes I use the process of elimination in my head, even though some of my answers could be straight up out of the blue. And like, if it's not a multiple choice question, the answers that Jared and Kyrie give me, or the answers that I might think of, can be out of the blue. And there's about a 50 to 75% chance that they're right. Let's make that 50 to 60.
I'd say that your odds are pretty good because I like how you process things. You have a logical mind, and those 2 players, your 2 colleagues there, they seem to be giving you some great choices there. And you are the best captain I've seen in a long time here. One of the best of the way you play the game. Keep it up, young man, in the second half. Let's meet your teammates here. Let's talk to Jared. Hey, Jared.
Hello.
Jared, you play this game well, and it's something that you didn't know you were going to do this year, and here you are on Zoom, close to the championship. How does that make you feel?
Makes me feel great. Happy.
Tell me about that shirt you're wearing there, the science shirt. The science squad. Who gave you those shirts?
Miss Bear.
Bear is just a wonderful coach, and as we mentioned on a previous program, she was a nominee for Teacher of the Year, so you know you have one of the best out there giving you instruction every day. Thank you, Jared. Good luck in the second half. And let's talk to Kyrie. Kyrie, you've been an alternate, but now you're back here. You're up here on the show, doing a fantastic job. How do you know so much science?
How I know so much about science is the fact that how me, James, Jared, our coach Miss Bear, and Nyla have been going over this stuff.
Obviously, you've all been doing a great job because going over the stuff and the stuff of science there's so much out there. You mentioned a couple things that you went over specifically, and those questions have turned up here in the game. So you guys really prepared well, and Miss Bear, she's just, she knows exactly what she's doing. Good luck in the second half here, Kyrie. And again, you're a great addition to the team. All right, now let's get back into the game here. We have 9 more questions for this team from Longfields. Let's get physical. First category, here's a 5-point question, guys. You know, there are stratus clouds and cirrus clouds, but fluffy cotton candy, that's the kind of cloud that I'm describing here.
Stratus.
Say it again.
Stratus.
No, it wouldn't be. I think it would be more.
Fluffy cotton candy resembles what kind of cloud?
We almost see this every day.
It was stratus. And then there's zero stratus.
Yeah, so
I'm gonna say zero stratus.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
Actually, we're talking about those big cotton ball kinds of clouds. Those are called cumulus, just plain old
That's what I
cumulus clouds. Okay, let's try the 15-point question for Let's Get Physical. Because they have a fluorescent substance in their exoskeleton, scorpions will glow blue-green in the dark when this kind of light is shined on them.
The moon.
I'm thinking, okay, I'm not gonna lock in with that yet. What do y'all think?
I think moonlight, because if they live in the wild, the moonlight's gonna shine right on them.
Yeah, but like UV light. I'm definitely thinking UV because that seems to be the obvious answer. Cause you know I've researched up on it. UV would be.
UV is the correct answer. UV is the right answer. Thank you, Captain James. Good answer. You got yourself 15 points. Let's show you a picture for 25 points, and let's get physical. I love this picture. A solar car now being developed, this one's called the Aptera, meaning no wings, is so much more efficient than gasoline-powered and hybrid cars, and is shaped like the Batmobile, making it very aerodynamic and thus cutting down on what force?
What is it?
So
Drag. It has to be drag.
It is drag. Absolutely right for 25 points. You got it. You got it. Potpourri for 5 points. Keep it up, guys. The germs and viruses that enter your body and cause disease are considered infectious. But if they spread to others nearby, they go from being infectious to being what?
Infectious. But no, it wouldn't be infection because that would be what would happen.
Yeah.
Infection to virus.
Yeah.
I know you know this word. All right, you're infected, but if I'm close to Kyrie and he catches it, it's gone from infectious to being contagious. Contagious is when someone else can pick it up, like measles is contagious and chickenpox is contagious. Let's try this next one for 15 points. Sickle cell anemia is a terrible disease. robs the body cells of enough oxygen. But if you have sickle cell trait instead of sickle cell anemia, you avoid the worst symptoms, and you also get protection against this mosquito-borne disease that is one of Africa's biggest killers.
I think it's either.
I think we went over this.
Yeah, we saw this earlier on one of the.
Yeah, I know it was M initial.
Malaria.
No, that's what it wasn't.
I think it was called malaria.
Yeah, it's got to be malaria.
You got that right, Captain. That M initial disease was indeed malaria. Nicely done. You got yourself 15 points. Great. Now let's move on to the 25-point question. Potpourri. When the Smithsonian Museum first opened in 1846, what is today this well-known part of the Smithsonian was known back then as the Department of Living Animals. What do we call it today?
Biology?
No.
No, it's the Department of Living
Animals.
Animals.
It has to be the Museum of.
No, I think Museum of Biology.
The same name.
Remember, I said the Department of Living Animals was what it was once called. It's part of the Smithsonian today, but it has a different name now. Do you know what it is?
It's bio something, I know. I know it involves bio.
Museum of Bio.
Oh, guys, you're thinking too hard. You know what it is? It's the zoo. Today is the National Zoo. Back then it was the Department of Living Animals. Let's go and do your last three questions. Let's go to Dateline for 5 points. Before the Apollo project that sent men to the moon, NASA's project to put men like John Glenn into orbit was named for Castor and Pollux, the mythical twins that are also what sign of the zodiac? The sign with twins. Say it again.
Gemini.
You got it. Gemini is right. 5 points.
I think he was part of the Illuminati.
He was. 15-point question in Dateline is a multiple choice. The response of dogs, they were trained to come to associate the ringing of a bell with the presentation of meat. They rang a bell, they gave meat. They rang a bell, they gave meat. Pretty soon the dogs, anytime they rang the bell, they started slobbering because they thought meat was coming. That famous experiment was performed by what famous Russian scientist? Prokofiev, Pavlov, or Rasputin?
Rasputin. It would not be Rasputin because I think it would be. Can you repeat the first two?
I sure can. The famous experiment with conditioning dogs, training dogs to slobber at the sound of a bell because they thought it was going to be followed with food, meat, was conducted by what famous Russian scientist? Prokofiev, Pavlov, or Rasputin?
I'm gonna. Okay. I don't think I would.
I know I've heard of Rasputin, but I'm not exactly sure that's the answer.
Yeah, y'all probably know him by Rasputin.
I think it's the first one.
I think it's going to be. It's either going to be the second one or the first one.
The first one is Prokofiev, and the second one is Pavlov.
Second one. I'm going to go with the second one.
Let's go with the second one. It is indeed. Ivan Pavlov is the right answer for 15 points. Last question of the game for you guys. Long question, simple answer. Since doctors are running out of effective antibiotics to treat infections, they're now turning to something called bacteriophages, which means bacteria eaters, that are the good kinds of these organisms that we normally think of as bad, like those that cause Ebola, the flu, the common cold, and COVID. All those diseases are caused by these.
I think we went over this and like related to
I think it would be viruses.
You got it. Those are all viral diseases. Exactly right. Thank you, Captain James. That means, guys, you end up the game with 205 points. That is a great score. Let's see if that's enough to win this game. What an afternoon. What a game. The penultimate game here as we head into the championship round. Who will be taking on Whitehall for the county championship for the elementary schools? We're proud of all of our players. As you noticed, they hardly missed. That's because they are elite students and they prepared so well for this game here today. Our final tally is Longfields 205, Hyattsville 210 by 5 points. Hyattsville, congratulations. We are going to see you in that championship match. Let's give a round of applause to everybody. It just tells you how well these teams, how well matched they were, that we came this close, came down to just 5 points. Amazing performance, amazing performance. You are all winners, you're all champs. And thank you for, again, doing this, taking a chance. And I hope during this pandemic year, this was a nice diversion for you. A chance to return to something normal. Even though you're not in the studio here, it was a change from what you normally do, and we're glad you participated. You were among the few. Normally we have well over 56 schools, but this year we had fewer, but we had great schools like you guys, like Longfields and Hyattsville. Congratulations to all of you, and we will look forward to seeing all of you out there for the championship match. It will be Whitehall versus Hyattsville. I'm Dave Zarin, and I hope to see you then. Bye-bye, everybody.